Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture of general medicine where I make a dreadful topic easy to learn. And today we're going to be covering a topic of the renal system, which is nephrotic syndrome. Before I get into the topic of nephrotic syndrome, I know it's a very common confusion that what is the difference between nephritic and nephrotic. So here is a very simple way to remember it. As the term nephritic contains the word I, consider it to be inflammatory disease. And nephrotic is not an eye-related term, so consider it to be non-inflammatory. This is how you can easily memorize nephritic and nephrotic. Anything which has inflammation, we say it to be ITIC in the end. So nephritic will be inflammatory and nephrotic will be non-inflammatory. Let's get into the lecture, which is nephrotic syndrome. Coming on to the introduction of the definition of nephrotic syndrome, massive proteinuria, which is more than 3.5 grams per day, due to endothelium and podocyte injury, which results in hypoalbuminemia in the body, along with hyperlipidemia, edema, and various complications, is nephrotic syndrome. This can be because of any cause which is non-inflammatory in nature. So the main finding over here is proteinuria. If excess protein is being filtered out by the kidneys into the urine, so there is going to be hypoalbumin in the body, less albumin. In turn, the body is going to try to compensate for the lost protein by increasing the fats. So hyperlipid is going to be present. If hyperlipid is going to be present and protein extracted is more, the fluid retention in the body is going to be there, which is going to lead to edema. So these are the basic signs and symptoms present along with nephrotic syndrome. Now, why does this happen? Because either the kidney's barrier is poor or the filtration is not happening as it should. There can be either of these two options. Coming to the etiology, it can be intrinsic kidney disease, wherein the kidney itself is hampered. Secondly, there can be systemic diseases which are causing secondary manifestations in the renal system. And lastly, it can be medication related as a form of adverse drug reaction. The first one is intrinsic kidney disease like membranous nephropathy, minimal change disease, and FSGS. So all these three, they are diseases which affect the structure of the kidney, which can lead to nephrotic syndrome. Other than this, systemic diseases which have manifestations in the kidney like SLE, diabetes, amyloidosis, they can also lead to nephrotic syndrome without any inflammation. Lastly, medications like NSAIDs, bisphosphonates, lithium, and interferon therapy also pose a high load on the kidneys, which can lead to deranged kidney barrier and filtration problem causing nephrotic syndrome. After we know the etiology, we need to know how the disease is progressing and what is the pathophysiology of nephrotic syndrome. So what happens is, due to whatever etiologic factor which is present, there is going to be insult and damage of the capillary endothelium. As can be seen over here, this capillary endothelium is going to be affected and the podocyte foot processes will also be affected. This is how the normal podocyte foot processes look like. But if some injury of the basement membrane happens, this podocyte contact with the membrane is going to get affected. This leads to a change in the permeability of the membrane and loss of the negative charge of membrane. So if suppose the negative membrane was present inside and positive foot processes outside, if structural damage occurs on either of the side, this charge is going to change. And whatever ion was going in and out due to this charge is going to get reversed. So fluid and the protein loss occurs, which causes reduction in the plasma oncotic pressure, which leads to edema. So when the fluid is also getting filtered excess and the ions are also getting filtered, this leads to a state of low fluid and ion in the body. So the body is going to try to compensate it by storing more fluid. It is going to send less blood and less fluid to the kidney for filtration. So that is going to store fluid in the body, which is going to lead to edema. So compensatory increase in lipoproteins will occur from the liver, which leads to hyperlipidemia and hypercholesterolemia, because the body is going to signal the liver that create less protein, make more fats, store more fats. So protein is getting lost by the kidneys, lipid will increase, cholesterol will increase. So these are all compensatory mechanisms which are eventually being shown as manifestations. After we know the pathophysiology of a disease, we need to know what the disease looks like and presents like. So what are the clinical features? First is edema. As we know, it can be periorbital or pedal. Then there is going to be frothy urine, because again, proteinuria is present. Hypercoagulable state will be there because antithrombin 3 will also be lost. Now, what are proteins? Proteins are the basic building blocks of all the body structures and tissues. They create enzymes, they create hormones, they create all the important factors of coagulation. If proteins are not going to be there, factors are not going to be there, the activation of the coagulation system is going to be deranged. So hypercoagulable state is also going to be there. General edema will be present, pitting edema in the extremities, weight gain and fatigue because of excess water retention. After we know what the disease looks like and how it presents, we need to know how to come to a confirmatory diagnosis, which comes under the lab investigations. So 24-hour protein levels are checked in the urine, which is a clear indication of proteinuria and some disease present. Electron microscopy can be done for the urine which is collected to view any RBCs or WBC cast cells or any infectious disease which can be present. Serum albumin and creatinine will be done, which will be low in level because they're getting filtered out. Urine protein to creatinine ratio will increase because excess protein is being filtered out. Ultrasound is going to show you some defect in the kidney and some hypoechoic lesions will be present. Finally, renal biopsy can be done to rule out the presence of any growth or any defect which is there. And finally, renal transplant might be required on the basis of the severity of the disease. An important part in the investigations is a diagnostic tetrad. This tetrad includes proteinuria, hypoalbuminemia, which is less albumin in the body, hyperlipidemia, which is excess lipid in the body, and edema. So this is the tetrad, which is diagnostic for nephrotic syndrome. After we know the diagnosis, we need to treat this patient effectively and efficiently. First and foremost, treatment is supportive and treat the underlying cause. Second, we give corticosteroids so that the immune response which has been exaggerated can be slowed down. Third, we give immunosuppressive agents for the same response. Lastly, for the manifestations which are present, we give diuretics, which decrease the load of the fluid on the kidney. We give statins to decrease the hyperlipidemia which is present. We give ACE inhibitors to protect the heart and that damage doesn't reach the main vital organs. And lastly, we give anticoagulants so that the thrombosis is not occurring and thrombin which has been lost can be compensated for. So this is how we manage a patient of nephrotic syndrome. And once we are managing a patient, we need to diagnose that this patient doesn't have any other disease, which comes under differential diagnosis. For that, we need to rule out hepatic insufficiency, wherein liver enzymes will be affected, severe malnutrition, wherein the patient will have loss of appetite and weight loss, renal failure, which will be seen from the tests, then cardiac and hereditary angionephritic edema or heart failure, which can be seen, but there also cardiac enzymes and markers will be present, which will not be present in a purely kidney-related disease. Other than this, what complications can happen if a patient is not treated timely and adequately? Hypocalcemia can occur because once the protein is being lost, electrolytes in the body are decreasing. So the plasma of the body is going to extract out ions from organs and calcium is going to be extracted from bones. Bone abnormalities will occur. Hyperlipidemia can lead to atherosclerosis. Thrombosis can happen because this lipid can get stuck anywhere, lead to the formation of thrombus and get stuck. Hypovolemia, because finally excess fluid will also be filtered out because of a compensatory mechanism for the edema which is present. And lastly, renal failure can occur if nothing works out. So this is how you can compile the topic of nephrotic syndrome in under 10-15 minutes. You can refer to these mind maps from the book or even on the app which we have for MediStudy Go. It contains all the mind maps along with certain flashcards and MCQs which you can solve for this topic. For example, I have a flashcard and MCQ over here. What is the typical type of edema in nephrotic syndrome? It is basically pitting edema or the pedal and generalized edema which is present. Generalized edema known as anasarca is present, which includes facial, pedal and abdominal swelling. Generalized. Coming to an MCQ question which is important for the preparation of NEET. Which of the following is not a feature of nephrotic syndrome? Proteinuria, yes. Hypoalbuminemia, yes. Hyperlipidemia, definitely. Hematuria is not really a characteristic feature. Therefore, that will not be the one here. So it will be the answer. So it is very important to read the question correctly. And once you flip over the question, you can view the answer on the app along with the explanation. The app I'm talking about is this one by MediStudy Go, wherein you can use resources like mind maps, notes, videos, flashcards, and MCQs to make your preparation much organized and easier. If you found this video useful, do subscribe to our channel on YouTube by the name of MediStudyGo. Like this video, drop a comment below this video if you have any doubt, and we'll reach out to you. Thank you for watching.